how Google answers where to buy an AI overviews analysis. So I wanted to analyze the keywords where to buy, right? People search for so and so near me. There's also where to buy. And I have some experience with this keyword. So I wanted to know how also does AI overviews impact it, right? So basically, I started by asking a friend to pull where to buy keywords from Ahrefs. They gave me a list of 30K keywords, right? When you pull a list from Ahrefs, there is a column that tells you the SERP features that are there. So I selected the ones that had AI overviews. So this is the first phase of filtering, and it came as 2,581 keywords out of 30,000. So AI overviews are not really dominant in where to buy keywords. And I'm going to say this now, I'm going to say it again at the end. This means it's really a good opportunity if you're optimizing for a local business or for an e-commerce website. I know because it says where to buy, it gives you the impression that people are looking for a physical location to go to, which is true, but they're also looking for online stores. And I'm going to explain why right now. Okay, so I took those 2,500 US where to buy keywords, and then I used data for SEO API to actually pull the AI overviews for each of those keywords and analyze it, right? Basically, out of those 2,500 keywords that we pulled out of a bigger data set of 30,000, there were only 1,700 that actually had AI overviews. So what does that mean? It can potentially mean that AI overviews is not consistent or was not consistent. 2,500 keywords used to have AI overviews, but during the live test, even a smaller set of keywords had actually AI overviews, which again goes back to the same point. I think this keyword is a great opportunity for e-commerce websites. And then I did a basic analysis, average answer length, and how many sources are cited, 6.7 on average, and then how many domains across the entire data set, which is now 1,700, it's 3K, right? These are the numbers. This is a basic analysis of the data set. I used Claude to manually categorize keywords. So some keywords were food and drinks, some were pharma and medical, some were home, garden, and auto, and so on, right? So they did this categorization here. And then if you want to dig into also like the rest of the data, all of this is analysis of the start data, the raw data, or not the raw data, the cleaned data, right? Before we do any analysis. These intents came from the Ahrefs data, and then we had branded, non-branded, local, and non-local, and then SERP features. Okay, so the next question we want to answer, which is not a simple one, is how consistent is AI overviews by category and intent? So we know that Ahrefs data had, some of the keywords had AI overviews, 2,500 of them. But when we did the live test, 1,700 only ended up having AI overviews. So how consistent, how likely if you had an AI overviews in the past to continue to have AI overviews, right? This is a very good question. And what makes it even more interesting here is that we divided those keywords, the 2,500 keywords by Ahrefs, into categories: gift card, financial, chemical, and so on, right? And compared the AI overviews presence by the actual live data we pulled from data for SEO, the 1,700 keywords. And this is how likely for AI overviews to continue to exist, right? So it can exist, for example, in home and garden and auto, but then it's almost a coin toss if it's going to continue to exist in the future. Whereas for a gift card, it's probably going to continue to exist in the future. If the keyword had AI overviews, it's likely to continue to exist in the future. And I think this is a very interesting thing to analyze for the bigger keyword universe, right? Because right now we're only looking at keywords with where to buy. Okay, so the second question I want to answer is AI overviews presence versus search volume. In my mind, I always felt that AI overviews are more likely to be present at long tail keywords with lower search volume. And the reason for that is users' questions can be very complex, right? And that is very visible in long tail. And the more complex they are, the less likely there is specific content dedicated for those long tail questions, right? And I think this may have been Google's first or one of early arguments of why they need AI overviews. Some answers are complex and require a different combination of sources, and that's why they launched AI overviews, right? That was the initial justification, but over time it actually spread largely more, right? Okay, so right now in our analysis, we found that overall, it's pretty neutral. It's pretty almost like the search volume is just on average, it's 67.3% on average. It's almost flat, right? Almost flat. Across all search volume, the likelihood of having an AI overviews, it's pretty much similar. Which means if we are able to do the same analysis on a larger, more diversified set of keywords, we can verify this, which is potentially, if you're looking for keywords and thinking, oh, this is low risk of having an AI overviews, it's not really true, right? They all probably have the same possible probability of having an AI overviews. The only thing we know is that right now, most of the where to buy keywords do not have AI overviews. And those that have are, the consistency is different, right? Okay, and then AI overviews presence versus other SERP features. I think this is also interesting for local people. It's less likely when there is a local pack to have an AI overviews. It doesn't say it's not going to have an AI overviews. It's just saying less likely. Same with top stories. And the reason for this, I think this is important because people have been sharing, hey, here's an AI overviews and there's a top stories, and we've been told that AI overviews is not going to be visible with top stories. Here is the caveat, or here's the thing. It depends on the keyword. If the keyword is purely news, purely requires fresh data right now, I don't think it's going to have an AI overviews. And I've not seen that situation. I've seen it though if it's maybe older news, or maybe it's an informational query on and of itself, but now it has some news around it. So for example, Strait of Hormuz is fundamentally an informational keyword, but it may have eventually news around it. So the top stories is actually the one intruding on AI overviews and not the other way around, right? Yeah. Okay. And then here, analysis about answer length and sources. Okay. And then the top domains. And I think this is interesting because, as I said, we always think of where to buy as people looking for local retailers, but that's not the case. So Google is actually appearing 13% of the time, always citing itself, links to Google Shopping, Amazon, and then you have, of course, Reddit. Reddit is going to be part of a very interesting conversation. We're going to see later. YouTube, then Walmart, Target, Instacart. The reason I'm trying to focus on the online stores is I want to show you that there are an opportunity for you if you're an online store. And obviously a lot of user-generated content platforms, right? TikTok, YouTube, Reddit, and so on. But then half the time, it's none of these top domains, right? The domains cited are very diversified. So it kind of tells you that everyone has a chance. And then how AI overviews close out. So it's either a follow-up question 43% of the time, asking for a location, zip code, city. I think this is interesting because if you're running an online store or a local business, try to be as specific as possible. What are the areas you're nearby? Make sure your zip code or city is clear. And I mean, if people from different cities even come to you, like if you're a specialty store. So for example, a small handmade chocolate factory, right? So you can say your location, and then maybe you can want to cover, hey, we have people driving all the way from this and this city, which is like a 1 hour drive to get to our store, right? You can have those sort of things to clarify also to clarify how like that you're local but your service area is bigger, right? If you're online store, this can also be a good thing to mention in an informational shipping page, for example, right? So yeah, a lot of things here to analyze and look into and see how you can optimize your content based off these, right? Okay, now back to the Reddit conversation, and I think it's very interesting. If we look at all the citations across all the keywords we're analyzing, the 1,700 keywords, right? And we bring all the big list of all the citations. Reddit makes 6.1% of that, right? So let's say we have, to simplify things, we have 10 citations, each has 10, we have 10 AI overviews, each have 10 citations. So that's 100. Reddit makes 6.1% of that, means Reddit is 6 URLs or 6 point, you could have a 0.1 URL. So 6 URLs out of 100. So that's not a lot, right? However, if you look at AI overviews and how many times Reddit is cited in an AI answer, we're not looking at the entire citations. We're saying we're going back. We had 10 AI overviews, each had 10 sources cited. That's 100 sources cited. This is what the number, we're trying to figure out how many times Reddit was cited. But if we look at the 10 AI overviews and say, okay, how many of these cited Reddit at least once? 37%. So out of 10, almost 4 cited Reddit at least once, right? So the data is very tricky and it tells different stories. I just wanted to point this. I think it's very interesting. And also because here with this data, you can downplay Reddit maybe, but here you may not. It's cited at least once, 4 out of 10 times, right? Okay, so I summarized this. I think I found a lot of interesting things that AI overviews, for example, is very dominant or visible, consistent in financial and crypto, for example, which is your money or life keywords, or chemical and household, which also I think is serious, and 75% of the time it still stays there. And then I think the takeaway here is target where to buy keywords strategically. If you're doing local SEO or e-commerce, be more specific with your service location, provide as much detail about your offering as possible. Look at this, it can inspire you, right? I think the purpose of this study was to shed a light on where to buy keywords. I think they're really underrated. I hope you found this useful and see you next video. Bye.